In absolute value equations, we have to consider two things. One is the easy assumption that x squared plus 7x equals 4x plus 28. Right? If everything inside the absolute value turns out to be a positive, then it just becomes positive and it stays positive, right? That's the way absolute value works. So you take absolute value of 5. There's no special thing happening with the absolute value bars because it's taking a positive number, making it positive. But then there's the other case where you have absolute value of -5, and then that makes it positive, all right? So keep in mind, of course, absolute value just means always positive. So what we have to consider is there's the first easy thing we need to solve. And now the second one is, what if the inside is negative? So we take the negative version of x squared plus 7x and set that equal to 4x plus 28. All right, so we're going to solve both of these. So this is the second one where the absolute value result is negative. All right, let's distribute that negative, and we get negative x squared minus 7x equals 4x plus 28. And then we have the other one, which is x squared plus 7x equals 4x plus 28. So we have these two scenarios. This is kind of like a quadratic in that we have to solve two different scenarios here. So let's start with the one on the right, actually, because it's easier. So I'm going to bring everything to the left-hand side, and because it's a quadratic. So I have x squared, and then 7x minus 4x is 3x, minus 28 equals 0. And then this we try to factor, and so we need to decide what multiplies to give negative 28 and adds to give 3, and that would be a plus 7 and a minus 4. And so this then is actually a quadratic, and we have to solve both of those, and we find that x equals negative 7 for this one, and then here x would be equal to 4. Again, if you need to do that little step, of actually solving them out and doing your algebra to prove to you that it's negative 7, that's why it is, right? And do the same thing with x minus 4. Now, over on the left-hand side, I think it's going to be easier if this x squared is not negative. So instead of bringing 4x and 28 to the left, I'm going to bring the x squared and the negative 7x over here this time. So I'm going to add x squared and add 7x. So we get, in this case, x squared plus 11x plus 28. Now, what multiplies to give 28 and adds to give 11? 7 and 4. And likewise, we solve those and realize that x is negative 7 and x is negative 4. So we get two answers that repeat in the two different scenarios. So we got x equals negative 7, and here we also got x is negative 7. So we just enter that one time. So negative 7, and then we have a negative 4 here, and then we have a positive 4. And those are our answers.